Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. The day has finally come for us to queue into the Tarkov Arena, and I got a chance to play about 6 hours today. So I'm here to give my thoughts on this long-awaited new game mode. I'll talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, my thoughts on the maps and the preset loadouts, and what I would like to see for the future of this mode to add a bit more organization to this 5v5 chaos. To start this off, I want to quickly just describe the flow of a single match, because that's something that I think has been sort of hard to judge from the small amount of gameplay that we had seen previously. BSG doesn't like to give us straight answers about mechanics and stuff, so there's been a lot of question marks and speculation around Arena ever since it was first announced. The basics as they are in this closed beta version is that you queue into either a solo deathmatch or a 5v5 team deathmatch playlist, with 5 maps available right now. You can actually select all 5 maps for faster queues, or just stick on one and learn it faster. Once the match starts, all players select a loadout from the presets they have unlocked. These loadouts are separated into classes that basically have an unlock tree that you follow. Play more matches as the CQB class and you unlock more CQB loadouts. Pretty simple. These loadouts cost rubles, so there is some economy management, but you cannot change or alter the loadouts at all right now. And there doesn't seem to be any way to access gear from the main Tarkov game, which to be frank, I'm happy about. You also cannot change loadouts once the match is started, so you're stuck with your initial choice. Winning matches gets you back money based on some random math, plus a fee to compensate you for the loadout that you rented. If you lose, you get nothing but experience, so it does seem pretty possible to go fully bankrupt. The match is first to 5 wins, and you win a round through eliminating the enemy team or running the clock down and then sitting for 7 seconds on an objective point that spawns around the map. Rounds are pretty short, and most matches I played lasted about 12 minutes. Just like real Tarkov, there's no real combat UI even for your teammates, so you have to recognize them based on armband colors or by using your big boy words and talking to them over VoIP if you don't want to rack up team kills. So first up, just to keep things on a positive note, what do I like about Arena? Well, for starters, it honestly did feel good to play Tarkov in a slightly more organized setting. Pretty much everyone that I played with was using their microphone and making callouts or talking basic strategy during the warm-up phase, and that was a really different vibe to what I usually experience in Tarkov. I normally play solo, so it's kind of a lonely game. And when you're playing with buddies, you never really know where to expect players, so it's hard to strategize before a fight. They just kind of happen. There was some problems with VoIP and the radio audio being too quiet to hear over gunfire, but overall, I gotta say it felt kinda cool to communicate with randoms and make plays. You also kind of have to make VoIP callouts sometimes to ask if anyone on your team is still alive because you don't have a HUD, or to see if the guy around the corner is on your team, and it was kind of immersive at times. I know that anyone stacking up in a team using Discord can completely bypass all of the cool factors that VoIP brings to the game. But at least for solo queue games, you get some neat banter between the teams. It took me some time to get back into the flow because I haven't played Tarkov much this wipe, but once I greased the wheels a bit, it did honestly feel nice to engage in the short and repetitive PvP loop with the Tarkov mechanics on top of that. Stamina management was kind of tough sometimes, and it was really hard to find time to heal in between fights because it's so chaotic. But honestly, even though I normally like to play Tarkov slow and steady like a good rat, it was really fun to speed it up a bit for a while. The loadout system is pretty interesting, at least on the surface. In practice, I do strongly believe that it is going to end up exactly like regular Tarkov, where people are going to settle into about 3 loadouts that just crush harder than everything else, and within a month or 2 you won't see that much variety. They're trying to counter this by not letting you select min-max stuff individually for your kit, but let's be real, Tarkov addicts know the stats of gear inside and out, so it's not going to take long at all to figure out what the best bang for your buck loadout is, and then everybody's just going to be running it. That being said, it's a breath of fresh air to play Tarkov with some of these low-level loadouts, and it really changes the flow of a firefight from the typical bang bang, oh I'm dead, to pure chaos as people are spraying drum mags of low pen ammo at each other with really bad builds that have insane recoil and weird attachments. This first day of Arena felt like early wipe, but everyone was forced to run a meme loadout, and I liked it. I also think the loadout system has great potential to work in tandem with how Tarkov wipes every season. I'm imagining these loadouts refreshing and being redone alongside every wipe. This would allow so many cool builds and kit combinations to be used by Arena players, and likely be a great way to stop power creep and make it so that the game just doesn't get stale when everyone unlocks everything. Another thing I mostly enjoyed was the 5 maps currently available, but I do have one big disclaimer on that one. Overall, the maps were pretty fun to play. They're kind of typical 2 or 3 lane arcade shooter maps in design, with some having major features like the plane or the helicopter, and others being just kind of open with lots of cover everywhere. There was even item pickups like better guns, meds, and stuff like that on the maps, which was kind of neat to see, but it's so chaotic that I never felt like I had a chance to look around and actually pick anything up. I do think that playing with Tarkov mechanics, like the alternate leans that you can do, blind firing, and the healing mechanics, did change things up enough to make it not just feel like Call of Duty. But honestly, the maps beg to be called COD maps, so I'll just say it like it is. These maps are fun, and stuff like this will work in Arena. But I do hope this isn't all we get, and I hope that they start to go more Counter-Strike and less Call of Duty with future maps. I've been playing a decent amount of CS for a few months, and the thing that keeps me on that game is the map design. Good maps in a 5v5 setting like this can dictate the flow of every round through geometry and timing, and give both sides interesting options for map control, usage of utility and grenades, gunfights that you can take, and aggressive and defensive plays that you can choose to make with your team. 3-lane arcade maps, on the other hand, just sort of create chaos, since the only logical thing to do is keep running in a circle and hope that you come up behind the other enemies who are also running in a circle. I think that more finely tuned maps designed around a good game mode might actually allow Tarkov Arena to make a serious move into the competitive scene. The game mode we have right now in the Arena beta is really basic. It's just deathmatch with a win condition King of the Hill minigame if people don't kill each other fast enough. It's not that there isn't any strategy, there just isn't anything to play for or against until the last 40 seconds of a round. In CS or even Valorant, the early and middle stages of a round where both teams establish themselves on the map and make calls about where to prioritize and how to attack or defend adds so much to the mental exercise of each round. In Arena, basically you just try and get to a power position and then try and get as many kills as possible. There's some tactics once the objective spawns, but you only have 7 seconds to counter a capture, and oftentimes that just isn't enough time to move or do anything. This is the closed beta test though, so I expect more game modes and more fine-tuning to how the rounds flow as time goes on. Now, what did I dislike about the Arena? Well, for one, audio is still Tarkov's biggest nemesis. A lot of ambient noise is just far too loud, to the point where even though Tarkov player audio is constantly said to be too loud on its own, I could barely hear footsteps or enemy audio over the announcer and the cheering crowd. They're just way too loud. BSG already said they're going to lower the ambient sound, and maybe it's the crappy helmets and the chaos of 10 people all running and shooting that makes it hard to hear footsteps, but in any case, audio as usual needs some work. Loadouts, while a cool feature overall, definitely are not made equal. I don't think it will be much time at all before we see a mid-level and high-level meta forming, so hopefully constant tweaks are used to negate this a little bit. I do think players should get a small compensation reward for losing a match as well. If a win pays for the loadout plus a little bit of profit, I think it would be fair for a loss to give you 20% back or something like that, just to avoid a backslide into the negative. The start of each round also just kind of felt like basically 5 seconds for everyone to take painkillers. And to be honest, I think that's going to get really old really quickly. It's just kind of tedious to sit through the Vaseline animation every 2 minutes, and I think it shows that the painkiller meta is just stale and doesn't work anymore. Everyone knows that if you don't take that painkiller, you're gonna get legged and then just die, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no adrenaline system or anything to counter it, so you have to do this. It's a requirement, and I really think it's gonna get old just pressing that painkiller button every 2 minutes, every round, every time you play Arena ever. Grenades were also on my mind a lot throughout the day playing. Since these maps are designed like COD maps, and everyone who plays COD knows how easy it is to find pre-grenade spots to land them right in the path from the enemy spawn every round, I predict that within a few weeks we have grenades dropping like right on the spawn almost every match, and that's not going to be fun for anyone. Other than this, my only main complaint was that I had some really long queue times, even while selecting all 5 maps. I get this was probably due to day 1 server stability problems, but it felt like every time the queue popped, at least one person disconnected and matchmaking just started over. I had some matches where I queued for 12 minutes and then I played an 8-minute game. That's a tale as old as Tarkov itself though, so I guess while we can escape from Tarkov, we're just never escaping the queues. That's all I really have to say about Arena, so if you've watched this far, I'm going to leave you with my first ace round from my first day of playing. I was using the CQB loadout tree and unlocked an M4 loadout with 100 round mags, a class 4 armor, and the Kiver helmet, a long forgotten staple of Tarkov's history. If you've played Arena or have thoughts from watching others play it, let me know what you think down below. Does this have promise, or is it just Call of Duty with extra steps? Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate all of you that have stuck with me through my Tarkov hiatus, and until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City. I don't think there's night maps, but that would be a very fun playlist with like less loadouts, but they all have something for nighttime, like cheap ones that have the night vision scopes.
Зрителей забрызгал.
Anyone's still alive on blue? On red, sorry.
Быстрее! Время для топника кончилось! Скопытился! Активировал точку захвата.
Ace, boys! He gets the ace! Let's go!